What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the episode of The Real Junkies. I'm your host, Farhan, here again with my man Vito. Coming to you a little bit late this week with a review of The Ballerina from the world of John Wick, or from the world of John Wick, The Ballerina, however the hell they decided to title it. They should have
Let's
just
just
left it
call
as
the shit the
Ballerina.
ballerina.
They should have just left it as Ballerina, honestly. That's too many words, but that's neither here nor there. I understand marketing. And I'm glad that we're still in the world of John Wick without continuing the story from John Wick 4, because that was the perfect ending, and there should not be a John Wick 5. Wink, wink, nod, nod to anybody who's putting that movie into production. I like the fact that we can still be in the world of John Wick and, it not compromise the great four film story that we already got. And adding in and introducing some new characters while also giving us different angles of characters that we've already seen, which I feel like this film did very well. I'll start off with just a few positives. One, Anna de Armas. Her performance was, I thought, very solid. It didn't require a whole lot of dramatic flair or like heavy emotional scenes. There was like maybe a scene or two here or there where, you really got to see her display that side of her acting prowess. But a lot of this movie is just her whooping people's ass and inventing new ways to kill people. Like, it's just really what it
and
is.
getting
Like,
her ass kicked.
and getting her ass kicked, but also some creative ways to unalive people. Some very creative ways. And I like that little difference because we've seen 4 John Wick movies at this point, and we've seen John Wick take people out in just about every way possible, right? How do you then take that same concept with a different character and make this character feel different? Well, A, you change her fighting style, but B, you kind of up the ante on just creative ways to off people, which after 4 movies, I wasn't really sure they could do, but I have to admit I'm impressed. They figured it out in here. I did not know that throwing plates at people was a fighting style, but now I do. Like,
You know
there's
what? I don't know why you didn't know that because I can't think. I can't think of the movie where they did that shit at. I'm pretty sure it was something Jackie Chan, dog, where he's just throwing dishes at motherfuckers, throwing
that
dishes,
sounds like
throwing
a
dishes,
Jackie
throwing
Chan
dishes.
type of thing. I ain't gonna lie.
And because when it happened, I'm like, okay, I kind of. But she wasn't. They wasn't doing it the way Jackie Chan
Nah.
was freeze being them bitches. They
No,
was
that's
just
that's why I picture Jackie Chan
yeah,
dealing with
they
something
was
like this.
smacking them bitches over each other's
Yeah,
heads. So
this was a lot more brutal than that. A lot more brutal than that. But I really like how her character was portrayed in this. I like the fact that even, and this is one of my biggest compliments of the John Wick franchise, is they are very intentional with how they portray action. They're not just showing action. Sometimes it's unrealistic. I'm not going to say that they're always showing it in the most realistic light, right? We've seen John Wick get hit by a car and get back up like nothing happened. But one of the things I do, yeah, like one of the things I do like about this franchise is usually they find ways that make sense in the character for their fighting style, and then they stick with that consistently throughout, the entire film. In this instance, there's a scene in here where, during her training, Eve is the name of the character, and Arms' character, during her training, where she's, training to become an assassin, part of the ballerina guild. I'm forgetting the exact code name.
it's the Rooster Roman.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't remember the exact name, but that they called it in the movie. But yeah, what Vito said. And you see, like during her training, she's losing a lot because she's fighting men who are bigger and stronger than her. And the instructor basically says like, you're losing because you're trying to outstrength them, you're trying to outmatch them. You are who you are. You're a woman, and you're not a buff woman either. You're not Ronda Rousey. You're not built like you are. Your strengths are what they are. Your weaknesses are what they are. You're never going to be the biggest or strongest or most powerful person in any fight you are. You're always going to be at a strength disadvantage. And you need to change the terms of the fight to make it more advantageous to you. And you actually saw that. Like the changes she made in that training, you saw that in her fighting style from that moment on through the rest of the film, which I thought was a very important detail, and it kind of shows how much attention to the little things that we kind of get in these John Wick movies as far as the action scenes go. But I've ranted about the positives of this movie enough. I'll let you go ahead and give some of your thoughts.
So I was gonna stop you before you went on to your next point because
Yeah.
that was one that I was gonna touch on was that fighting style. But before I get to that, I do want to say I was not again. Y'all already know how I am with movies. I'm okay with enjoying a movie, but then I sent you that article where Samuel L. Jackson said, I make popcorn movies.
I'm not trying to win no trophies.
I don't need an Oscar. And I love popcorn movies.
Yeah.
I'll go watch it, turn my brain off, enjoy the shit. Sometimes it's good acting in it, sometimes it's not. I don't think anyone in these. I'm not gonna say anyone. I don't think Keanu Reeves is a strong actor. I think he's good in the things that he's in, and I think the previous John Wick movies he's had great counterparts for him to play off of. So it doesn't look bad, you know. And not saying he's a terrible actor. He again, Keanu Reeves is not a Oscar. I don't think he's an Oscar actor. He's a popcorn actor.
Yeah.
And I think this movie had even less. You know, I don't think she had as many because I don't think she's had some good roles, some great roles. I first seen her in Knives Out, and I was like, yo, this shit is good. You know, she wasn't the main reason I watched that movie, but she, just that whole storytelling of that movie and how everything played out, she played it well. I think she was in a movie with Chris Evans on Apple TV. It was like the Hitman's
Oh, I know
Girlfriend
which
or
one you're
some shit
talking
like that.
about. The name's escaping me right now, but yeah.
But like half of the fucking Marvel universe is in there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I just watched that and that was good, and she's acting against Chris Evans. This guy's gangster. His real name is Clarence. I don't know. Anthony Mackie, she's acting against all these people. And again, all these people might not have be considered like Oscar worthy actors, but they especially Anthony Mackie, I think he definitely has some Oscar worthy roles. Um, but I said all that to say was because I was gonna say I wasn't excited for this movie, but I was excited for another John Wick movie in that universe. I wanted to see someone else. I wanted to see somebody from John Wick 4. I wanted to see Tracker because they made him being John Wick's ally in 4 made absolutely no sense. It was no reason to why he should have had John Wick's back at all. So
Yeah.
I was hoping that we would have seen more of that because he tried to kill John Wick at some point. Then he just stopped and he started doing his own thing. And he had a pretty sick fucking gun as well. So I was hoping we would have seen him. Now back to her fighting style. Like you said, she's not the strongest. She's not the fastest. And when you look at the two movies, when you look at John Wick and you look at her, there's a stark difference. You're looking at she's still an amateur. Yeah, she's
And
been
they show
training.
that.
She's been
Yeah.
training with the Rooster Roman for I think they said 10, 12 years or something like that. And then at the time where she's onto that cult, um, it had been 3 months after she went on her first assignment. So she's already met John Wick just in passing. And again, this movie takes place between 3 and 4. So she met John Wick in passing, went on her first mission, and now she stopped doing what she's supposed to be doing, and she's on her own thing, looking for revenge. We didn't say it. There's gonna be some spoilers in here. We're gonna try and keep them down. But the movie came out a week ago. By the time you see this, it's gonna be a week and a half, maybe. So stop at this point if you ain't seen the movie, or if you don't give a shit, keep on going. Um, they killed her. They killed her father when she was little.
Yeah,
So
that's
she,
kind of a spoiler, but not really. That's kind of like the driving plot point of the
yeah.
movie.
So, but like I said, you see her fighting multiple people, not, but you see her in different fights. How she hesitates doing different things. She's not quickly taking down people. She even hesitates on killing some people that she should have immediately killed.
There's actually somebody who's like actively trying to kill her, and she's like, "I don't want to
She
hurt you." It's like,
don't want to
well,
hurt,
they want to hurt you,
and
so
I'm just
like,
sitting there like, kill this bitch. All
kill.
right.
Like, well, she want to hurt you, so I don't care how much you want to hurt her. She's kind of forcing your hand at this point.
But even outside of the fights, and her actions, you look at just the things that she's doing. She's completely unprepared in everything
Yeah,
she's doing. But again, she's been trained by the Rooster Roma. She's I forget what they call them. They don't call them ballerinas. They call them like kickinas or something like that. I don't know if you remember that term. What they called her, her
I
father.
barely remember that they called him the Rooster Roma.
You right. You right. You right.
So you asked me for a deeper cut. I don't know if because I was like I just remember I remember that like details like I remember that ballerinas and like that wasn't the specific term they used, but
Mm-hmm.
I was once they kind of got through the verbiage, I'm like, all right, I came here to watch people get killed. Essentially, that's what this movie is here for. It's a movie about assassins.
This
So,
nigga ain't even care about the story. He said niggas die.
because at this point, I'm gonna be real. Like the only John Wick movie where the story was really like a driving point was the
The
first one,
first one.
and then maybe like the
Even the
beginning
second
part of
one.
the second
Yeah.
one. The beginning part of the second one, yes, because the second one is kind of what kicked off him being on the run
Yeah.
and all
Because he
the
killed
assassins
baby.
chasing after him. After that happens, then it's just a straight
Yeah.
action all the time. There's
Yeah.
no story
He's
being
running.
told. Yeah, he's
So
just on the run, killing different
I
assassins.
just
That's
pulled
kind of
it
what
up.
this felt like.
It's Kikamura. And
Kikamura.
it's from
Okay.
Slavic folklore, and they're supposed to be protectors.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was
Yes.
cool
Yes.
because
Yes.
we don't know a lot about the different groups in here. Again, we know John Wick was a part of the Rooster Roma.
Mm-hmm.
We know he left. Um, we know that they started calling him the Baba Yaga because he's the boogeyman. He was killing motherfuckers, and um, so it was cool to see like how because they gave them a description of how they are. So like again, how did he become the Baba Yaga from being a Kikamura? Because they say in a movie like the Kikamura, they're protectors.
They're
They
protectors.
said,
Yeah.
a bullet can change the world, and our job is to prevent that bullet from hitting this target. They're protectors.
Yeah.
They're basically fucking top notch fucking security guards. They like you got executive protection. These motherfuckers are elite protectors, dude.
Literally, they're assassin security guards essentially.
So so again, like I said, she was this. She's in her first year of being active as a Kikimora, and
You actually see her first mission in this movie.
she goes out and she's doing on her own thing now. So one of the things that I was getting into, the point I was getting into was during her fights. Like I said, you see her, you see she's unskilled in not unskilled in fighting, but she's unskilled in I'm gonna say combat
Mm-hmm.
in actual combat. She knows how to fight in training. She knows what to do in training, but this, when somebody's actually trying to take your life, it's different. And but you also see her learning. You see her progression as the movie goes on. Like Farhan said, at one point she's using plates because she can't get to her gun. When she does get to her gun, what she does, just different tools that she's using to kill people, how she's doing it. Again, John Wick is fucking skilled. He's already scoped the scene out, but her, she's doing it on the fly because she has to. She hasn't planned it. But as the movie goes on, and I'm not sure. We're not sure how. I'm pretty sure it's not that many days. It could be more than a week. And I'd even. I wouldn't even say a week, maybe 3 days. The movie takes place in once it actually gets into it. So I thought that was dope. We like saying seeing that progression with her because we don't see that in John Wick. In John Wick, we see John Wick is already an
He's
experienced
already the
killer.
boogeyman. Yeah.
He's coming out of retirement, and we don't know how long he's been retired because he really got straight to it.
Yeah, no, exactly straight to it. Which that's actually a good key difference about John Wick versus this film. Whereas, like in the first John Wick, when we're introduced to John Wick, he's been Baba Yaga already. He's been the boogeyman.
There's a
You know,
legend.
the infamous like speech from the mob boss, and he's like, "I watched him kill 3 dudes in a bar with a fucking pencil." Like the lore of John Wick had already been established, and he's the first movie is him coming out of retirement. So this is whereas in this film you're actually seeing Eves as a character go from a child to being picked up by Winston to then she joins the Roosteroma to then them training her to her first mission. Like you actually see the progression of how she starts to eventually growing into the assassin she becomes towards the end of the movie. Like it's a little bit of a different in terms of being able to grow with a character, but even in that sense, like I feel like that was kind of needed for her a little bit. Just because in the case of John Wick, it felt like, when we're first introduced to him, you got just enough backstory of what you needed, and then the story itself kind of filled out the rest. But now in this case, John Wick is an established universe and he's an established character. So now you're introducing someone new. I kind of like the strategy of changing that up and going, all right, let's not just pick someone already established. Let's create a character that the audience can grow and get to know since we're introducing them in this universe that's already the rules have already been set up. We've set up the lore, which I like the fact that they brought in some new lore in this movie, but other
Mm-hmm.
than that, they really chose to focus on Eve's story and her character instead of trying to add in different layers to the Continental. The Continental's in this movie, but it's not like that aspect of the assassin world isn't like a big part of the plot in this. Like the
In
biggest
this
part
one,
of the
yeah.
assassin underworld in this is just the Roosteroma and then the cult that Eve is hunting, and basically just the fact that everyone kind of fears this cult and or just leaves them alone. Like even if they don't fear them, it's like we would rather just not even bother with them because they're just so off and kind of separated from
I'm
everybody
trying to
else.
think of like I'm trying to put it into comparison with something else in maybe comic books or like Marvel DC type
I
thing
can't really find like a good comparison
because
because it's like it's not like because granted everyone in this world in this underworld knows how to kill people, right? So it's not like they're like, "Ooh, this cult, like we scared of them" type shit. You feel me? But it is kind of like they kind of operate a little differently from the
well,
rest of us. So we'd rather just not even. We
well
just have an
let's
agreement that they operate over there and we just leave them alone. It's more of like that kind of setup.
yeah, and let's say it like this. Like I said, I haven't watched the Continental, so I don't know if they go more into the backstory of the Continental, how they got started, how long they've been going on. But in this movie, he said the cult leader says this cult has been around for 2,000 years, 2,000 years. So they go back. And one thing that they do mention is that the cult, they're killers. They're killers. They kill. They don't care about protecting people. They don't really care about making. They care about making money, but they make money by killing people,
Yeah.
or it's a sport for them.
I'm
So
about to say sometimes they're not even making money off of it. Sometimes
they
it's
they
just
grow up in it, so
yeah,
they're raising children. And so I'm thinking when they say it's like sport, I'm thinking like predator type shit. They teach
yeah,
when they think they're young already, they send them to go kill somebody. Like it's somebody high up or somebody that they think is feared, but they explain it as they got their rules. They on the outside of the village, we on the inside of the village. We all
yeah.
have our rules. We follow our rules. We play by our rules. They don't play by our rules. All right. Now they do have some rules that they play by with us, but as a whole, we got. I ain't got beef with these niggas, but I ain't friends with these niggas either,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's pretty much how it is. So, like Farron said, you do see at a certain point where um, the cult leader makes a call and he tells her like, "Yo," he calls the head of the Rooster Roman like, "Yo, we going to war. Yo, your
yeah,
people tripping. We
yeah.
gonna go to war if you don't, then we handle this, blah blah blah." And I don't know how big this cult is. We know that they have a
It's
small
like an
village.
entire town.
Yeah.
Like
So
it's literally an entire town filled with people.
and
That's
that's
like
just the
this
people
entire.
that's there. All
Yeah,
right. And we know they didn't kill everybody because there's kids in this town, so somebody
hmm
has to be watching the kids. Somebody was
hmm
doing this. Some people left. So again, we don't know how many people they had left, but they definitely told her like, "Yo, uh, it's more of these motherfuckers out here." So
yeah,
I'm really interested, and I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I'm interested to see. I know you said you were glad that you were happy with them starting with a new person.
yeah.
Personally, I wanted to see Tracker. Why this nigga rolling around with a dog? Why this nigga using that fucking rifle? And I would have been okay with watching a movie about him as well. But
Yeah.
I wonder how many of these movies are we going to see with her? Because I mean, it's not the same plot, but essentially, I killed some motherfuckers. Now some motherfuckers want to kill me, and again, we know that John Wick has the backing of the Rooster Roma. We know she has to. We don't know how she stands, where she stands in the organization at the end of this movie, without
We
giving away
kind
too
of
much
do because
detail.
there's you see how it ends where they put her name up on the board, but
But that
I
wasn't
think
from her. I mean the Rooster Roma. So
oh okay, I get what you're
yeah, I
saying.
don't. The Continental, they're just that. I mean, essentially, they're an ad agency.
Yeah,
Fuck it, we gonna get you. You gonna give us this money? We gonna set it up. You gonna put it through. So we don't know how. I don't know how much backing she's gonna have if we do have
for that.
another
Yeah,
movie. Because
yeah,
again,
no,
John Wick had fucking. I don't. I'm gonna say he had at least 15, 20 years of experience. So he's made friends. He's made connections. Whereas
she
Eve,
brand new. Yeah,
she's brand new. She's walking in the fucking places she's never been.
that's That's
talking to
actually a fair
people.
point.
So how is she going to? John Wick might not have survived if he didn't have as many friends as he did.
Because there's a lot of people who are like willing to bend the rules for him. Like, hey, you know you done fucked up. The Continental after you, but because we have the history we have here, I help you out a little bit. Sometimes to their own detriment, because some of those people ended up paying for helping him.
But
I
you,
don't.
I
I
don't
don't know if
fucking know
she's gonna
you.
have. Yeah, I don't know if she's gonna have that same support. That's a good point. But also, she's not gonna have as much heat as John Wick had. Like John Wick had like everybody after it. Like name any sector of this little assassin underworld, they was trying to kill that nigga. Like everybody.
I seen something that said, I bet the nigga that was number 2 on that list was happy as hell.
When he saw John Wick, he's like, man, they leaving me the fuck
Because
alone.
now I can go and hide for. Because I want to say, fucking between John Wick 4, it wasn't more than a couple weeks.
It wasn't that
Like
long of a time
the
frame. He
first
killed a lot of people in less than a month.
the first two, I think the first two movies take place within like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So third and fourth one, I'm not sure because this movie takes place between 3 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So John Wick isn't out of the life, or he's not done with them chasing him, trying to kill him
Mm-hmm.
until 4, and this takes place before that.
I think I'm trying to think when this would take place, because like even if at any point this takes place after 2, he would be on the run by then. But the Russo Roma still called him in because he was excommunicado, so like people technically weren't allowed to work with him.
Because
So
he didn't go back to the Ruscarona, did he?
no, but remember
He went to the
they
other
called
family
him in to like go
to go,
bring even because she was
but he was
wilding and
still,
going after the cult, right?
but
So
motherfuckers still trying to kill him. So
yeah, but that one thing. Speaking of John Wick, though, because he doesn't have a big role in this movie, but he's in it, and I appreciate the fact that all right, I get it. This isn't John Wick's movie, but this is a John Wick universe film. So to sell this movie to the audience, having John Wick in it is an added bonus. So I'm not mad at him being in this movie, and I am happy that all right, if you're gonna have him in here, at least write him into the story in a way that makes sense, which they did. So which I appreciate. One thing that I really appreciated about this film and how they portrayed John Wick is it kind of felt like after John Wick 1, they set him up. He's the boogeyman. The whole assassin underworld is scared of him. Like if you just speak his name, it invokes fear in mob bosses across the world, right? After like the midway point of John Wick 2 through the rest of the franchise, it was like, man, fuck that nigga
yeah,
John Wick.
niggas
I can
like,
kill
hey,
him.
This nigga ain't. Hey, first of all, this nigga is already killed. Like I said, John Wick 2.
Yeah.
Again, not including everybody he killed before the first movie,
Yeah.
but 1 and 2, this nigga had to kill at least 40, 50 people. And
I bet the over on that
these
actually.
niggas is like, that nigga ain't no shit.
Shit, you was
I'm about
one
to
man.
I'm about to go at this nigga by myself. But again, what my dog say? Live with that money, make a bitch do. You
Hey,
know you can't
real.
fuck with John
You
Wick,
know
but
you can't.
they put that price tag on him. Listen,
Everybody coming out the woodworks, and that's to me, I
that's
like that
life
about this
changing.
movie. It is, but it also doesn't matter if you don't have your life. So it kind of defeats the
But
purpose.
and that was the funniest part about the whole John Wick thing because we do see some in the John Wick movies we see some pretty like even assassins that he knows that's trying to
Yeah,
kill him.
yeah,
He knows them from when he was working.
yeah.
So now you have so many other assassins, and I think it made sense for the younger assassins to try and kill him because again, I've heard stories about this man, but
I haven't interacted
I
with
ain't
him.
never
I
had
don't
that.
know. You know what I'm
But
saying?
like
It's
the
just
older
those
assassins,
stories.
like they know this nigga, and they
Yeah,
were still like, man, fuck it, I'm about to kill John Wick.
and it's like no, you not. But one thing I liked, because to your point, like after like really the midway point of John Wick 2, it's like everybody and their mama's trying to kill John Wick, despite what his reputation is.
Hey, so
I like that in this movie they kind of dialed it back and went, no, he is the boogeyman. Like there's actually a scene, there's a point in this film. John Wick is in the third act of this movie, and there's members of the cult that are like, they're basically having orders like to go take out John Wick. And one of them is like, hell no, that's suicide, bro. What
Yes,
the fuck you talking about,
dog.
nigga? That's John Wick. And I was so happy they did that because I was like, finally, people in this universe are addressing the fact that his reputation is what it is.
But you seen what happened with that? Literally, he goes, "Yo, I don't want to do that. That's
That's
John
John
Wick."
Wick,
And
and immediately
again,
gets offed.
another motherfucker says,
He's
"That's
just a
only
man,
one nigga.
and and immediately gets offed though.
That's
Like
only
after,
one nigga."
and like as soon as they finish that sentence, he's just one man. Boom, dead.
I don't even think he finished the man. I think he said man.
Like that's it.
As he was putting the end, he's finishing up that end.
Man,
A bullet
boom,
was through his
headshot.
head.
Yeah, no, that was one of my out of everything that John Wick did in this movie, which isn't a lot. Like he's really in a couple scenes for real, if that. Like I like the fact that they actually took the time in this movie to remind the audience, like, I get John Wick 2 through 4. It may not have felt like it, but he is still the boogeyman, and a decent amount of the assassin world still views him as that.
And
I'm
even
glad that they
before that,
addressed that.
though, like excuse me, when he was getting off the train to to do his business, and he's telling them like, "Leave this nigga alone."
Mm-hmm.
There, you hear them like whispering, talking about him.
Like,
You
oh, that's
hear
the
the
Baba
cult
Yaga.
leader talking
Yeah,
about that's the Baba Yaga, that's this.
yeah.
And while we were talking about skill levels, the the fight between Eve and John Wick,
I'm glad that it was so one sided.
it was so one
Like it
sided,
was so clear Eve stood no chance.
and it made sense. Yes, she learned how to not fight fair. She learned how to put herself at an advantage and her opponent at a disadvantage. But when you're fighting a skilled opponent like John Wick, who also, even with strength, even with speed, even with skill, he's still working at an advantage. He's still trying to put himself at an advantage and put his opponent at a disadvantage. And it just speaks to how new she was, because it wasn't like she got a few hits in here or
Nah,
there.
he
She
whooped
got
her
no
ass.
hits in,
Like
you know,
it was
and
not a fair fight at all.
he wasn't trying to kill her.
Yeah, you
So
could see he was even holding back, and it still was a one sided fight, which to me just adds to the lore of that character so much more.
I did hate they had a whole Martha, what did you say, Martha
Oh
moment.
yeah, yeah. They definitely had one of them. Like, I'll get you till midnight. Go do what you got to do. Like, man, I
Like, nigga, I know that's why I'm here to take you home and not kill you. Like,
yeah,
this could have been over with. When I pulled up, you was gone. I knew
yeah,
John Wick knew exactly, which was the funniest part about that shit. He knew exactly where the fuck she was.
yeah.
So, like I say, just seeing the skill level between those two, and I think I did say something about because I want to circle back to the acting and I think I did say that I don't think she's really acting against anybody.
Yeah, the acting in this movie was mid at best. It's just, I'm gonna be real. Like, the action is what carries this film. The action is what gets the butts and seats, and the action is what, to me, makes this movie enjoyable. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot else to this movie. If we're gonna be 100% honest, the acting is okay. It too subpar. So it kind of teeters between either subpar or just okay. And then the story itself is just very basic and one note. It's essentially
Very,
the
it's
same.
it's an
It's like the
action movie.
same story as John Wick, just kind of escalated. Instead of your dog in your car, it was your dad this time. So, but essentially the same vengeance plot is essentially what this movie is, more or less.
And you know, lately we've been talking about, or I have at least, I've been talking about pacing a lot. And a lot of the movies we've been watching, like the pacing has, it's been kind of slow. And
Yeah,
even when it feels fast or like stuff is happening, it's still really slow.
yeah.
This movie was not. The pacing of this movie
It's
was
very quick.
like
There is not a moment to sit down in this movie at
the
all.
opening of the movie starts off on a bang. Like I said, her
Mhm.
father was Kikimura, and I'm not gonna go into the details about why he died and how he died, but he was on some John Wick shit to begin
Yeah,
with at the beginning of
yeah,
this movie, and he was probably activated around this or active around the same time John Wick was. Um, so we see him getting active. Then we then they do some storytelling a little bit, but then we rush to her training again. And when her training, speed up, speed up, speed up, and then like Fern said, we see her first mission. We see what she does, and even then, while we're watching it, I don't think she killed anybody during her first mission. I think she was just,
because they didn't even give her like real bullets though.
but she had the
Yeah,
opportunity,
yeah.
and she was just chilling. So it did the pace of this movie was fucking fast. Like it was on go the entire time. Like if
Yeah,
this movie had it came out in the fucking 80s, dog, it would have did numbers
this
because
definitely an '80s action movie for
they
sure.
was not doing action like this. Like I said, the whole time. I don't think you went 10 minutes without something happening for somebody fighting somehow, some way, some shape, or form. When she arrives to the village and she goes in to get like what she gets trying to get some coffee or some shit.
Yeah, you just kind of see the
And
whole energy in the building change.
the,
Mamas is taking their kids and saying, "Let's go home." Like you just
it,
peep
it
the
was
vibe
so
shift.
it was so chill. A nigga come in, dog don't say nothing. he,
Just ups pole immediately.
just get it popping, dog. And
Just
that's
up strap immediately. Don't even say a word.
and that's the whole movie. And one more thing, and I think I might be done actually. I don't I it's like I said, the story wasn't anything spectacular. I don't want to say it
It
wasn't
wasn't.
I don't want to say it wasn't strong because for the purpose of the movie, it made sense.
Yeah,
But it wasn't anything spectacular that we like, yo, that story was fucking
yeah,
amazing.
it wasn't that. It was not
The
that at all.
acting, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
say it was
even Keanu Reeves
subpar, but
acting a little bit was
again, I do not think he's a strong actor already. He's very
like,
monotone in his
yeah.
speaking and his acting in general. So that
Usually he is, yes, but I feel like because even you're right, like he's been like that since the Neo days. But even I don't know what it is about him as John Wick, specifically in this movie. It feels like talking is effort for him. Like it
I
feels
don't
like it's
I don't know what they want, but I'm going to give it to them.
where
Like,
she's like she asked him like how do I get out, like how do I become like you, and he's like the front door is always unlocked. I'm like, bro, why does it feel like it hurts for you to say words?
you know who he sounds like?
Who?
The Kingpin.
Damn near. Yes,
I
like
didn't think about it till
but worse though.
you did it. Yeah, like I said, when he's doing it, and again, that's because Keanu Reeves sound like he already speaks slow like that, or
Yeah.
not like that, but he speaks slow already.
Hmm.
And there's a, he's because I think he's I know he's like he has very weird like heritage, man. Like he's he's Hawaiian, but then like I think he grew up in like England or some shit.
Mm.
It's really weird. Because his name means like cool breeze or some shit like that.
Bro, I am today years old when I learned that.
Yeah, he was. I'm gonna look it up, but yeah, he speaks like that already. But whenever he's speaking, it's like that. But I feel like I feel like the John Wick movies were just, and I'm gonna stop talking about this nigga because it's turned into a fucking John Wick a
Yeah, yeah,
review
no,
instead of
and he's only
a.
in the movie for like maybe two and a
But
half
I feel
scenes.
like these movies were perfect for him,
Yeah,
considering how he is. Because he shouldn't be talking a lot. He's a scary person. So and it's funny. Like I said, you see the experience level between him and her. You
hmm,
even see it in a equipment that they had. John
yeah,
Wick. We see him with this fucking bulletproof suit that he got, this stab proof bulletproof suit that
hmm.
he's walking around in. She ain't got that.
Yeah,
She hide
you see
behind
the difference
shit.
in experience across the board with them. Like even
And
from her fighting style to the equipment she has at her disposal. Like you clearly see she's brand new to
And
this.
I want to say my favorite part of the movie is when she went to the gun shop and she was attacked. Like you
And she
said, the
just started just
experience.
lodging grenades, boy.
Well, even before that, John Wick don't pick up whatever's there. She's looking at
She's
guns and
resourceful.
she's like, I don't want this AK-47. I don't want this.
Yeah,
She gets to a room where there's a fucking box where there's grenades, picks up these fucking grenades, just start tossing these bitches. And I said, fuck yeah. Because if when I'm playing
that's
Call of Duty
yeah,
zombies and I got grenades and these motherfuckers are surrounding me, bloop, bloop,
live and
bloop, bloop, lobbing them bitches. and it was just so funny, like you said, how
Yeah,
resourceful she is in using them. The way she was killing niggas with grenades was fucking hilarious. Like
yeah. That's
using her environment
yes,
to
yes.
and again, it was on the fly because she's not scoping the scene out.
Hmm.
So she's doing it as she goes. She's putting herself in some fucked up situations at times because
Yeah,
she's focused on this person right here, right now. Finish that up. Oh, it's another nigga. I gotta focus on this nigga now. So, like you said, just that experience level between, that we see from her, because again, this is 3 months after her first mission.
yeah,
So
yeah,
she's
yeah,
she's not the best. She, people really don't know her like that. And again, like I said, I want to see how the Ruska Roma respond to this. Are they going to assist her somehow, some shape, some way? Is she going to meet people? Because again, the whole thing, people don't have to take those contracts. The
yeah. No,
only
they don't
reason
have to
John Wick had it so bad is
because it's
because he
John
killed a
Wick.
nigga. He killed a member of the high table.
Well, yeah. He killed
You can't
and on continental grounds
and
also.
on continental ground. You can't
So
use
you're
our services,
excommunicado.
my
So
nigga.
like, yeah, like by rule, someone has to come and
We're
get you
tr-
anyway.
we're trying to kill you now.
Yeah, like even if the assassins aren't trying to kill you, us as like this overarching guild of assassins is coming after you, regardless if any of the other assassin factions come after you, right? Whereas in this case, it's going to
I
be a
want to
little
stop you
different with
just for
her.
one moment. We keep calling them a guild of assassins.
Assassin.
We don't know that they all assassins, man. Remember the Ruska Roma, they're
Well,
protectors, bro. They're bodyguards.
and how do
Now,
they protect people?
they not by
Like,
assassinating people. They kill people. There is a
yes,
difference. You seen you did you tell me you seen The Wire, or you didn't like The Wire or something, right?
I've seen it. No, I've never disrespected The Wire.
Okay,
The
I'm
Wire
sorry.
is
I
one
was
of the
talking to
greatest.
somebody else.
The Wire is the
Uh,
greatest TV show ever
there
made,
is
and I
a
will stand on
scene
that.
in The Wire. I think this is it's either season 3 or season 4. This is with Stringer Bell and Avon not getting
It
along.
will be season 3 if it was Stringer.
What Avon or Stringer Bell got scammed by Clay Davis, Uptown
Hmm.
Clay Davis, and
Yep.
he came in the fucking building. He said, "Hey Slim, I'm gonna need you to hit somebody." He said, "Who you want me? Who you want me to do?" He said, "Clay Davis." He said, "I don't know, dog."
I don't know about
He
that one,
said,
man.
he said, "You want me to kill a nigga down the block? This nigga, that nigga, I can do that, but this some assassination type shit. That's a senator."
Like
And
that's different.
Avon, and he got big with him. Avon came in. He said, "No, bro, you you kill a nigga like this, like that. The feds on us, the state on us, the police on us. They wasn't assassinating people. Now, you John Wick assassinated niggas specifically in that second movie when he killed old girl. That was an assassination. Now, what the Ruska Roma do, or what they're supposed to do, because again they're protectors.
Yeah.
The girl didn't even know she was there to protect her. And when shit popped off, she popped up. But her job wasn't to kill people. Her job was to
Yeah.
protect
To
her
protect her.
client. And that's why I say I don't want to call them. Yes, they kill some
Well,
motherfuckers. So
so
I don't
here's the
really want to
thing
call them
though.
all assassins.
Right. But like they're for at least from what we know, from what's been presented in this world to us, the Ruska Roma are really the only ones within this world that operate that way.
Yeah.
Everybody else is
Well,
assassins.
well, well,
From
well.
what we know.
From what we know,
From
because
from
we,
what we know. From
because
what we know.
who did
That's why I prefaced it by saying
I'm
that. From
trying to
what's been
think.
presented to the audience so far through 4 now 5 movies if you include this
Do
one.
you remember who he joined in for? Because he left the
Um,
Rooster Roma,
yeah.
but then he joined somebody else when he went to Germany or Amsterdam or something like that. And when did he join the Rooster Roma again, but in a different city?
I'd have to go back and recall John Wick 4 as far as like all the details. I do know he was like working with Winston. I know he was working with Lawrence Fishburne and the
I
little
mean, like
homeless
the
group.
actual guild that he was with in there. But
Oh,
the
yeah.
point I'm trying to make
Someone did have
is
to like sponsor him, right? For him to like
yes.
participate in that. Yeah, you're right.
So
Someone had to
the
sponsor
point
him.
I was trying to make is even in that one, you know, I don't think all of them were. I don't even think they were like assassins like that because They sent him to do the job that they already wanted this nigga dead. Why did it take for him to get there? They probably could have been did that shit. But I don't think they're all killers like that.
Yeah.
We don't know what their businesses are. Like the guy who we went to go kill, his business was getting the shit. He had he did card games or some shit.
Yeah.
So just I picture everybody, all the different, because we don't know how many there are. I'm probably I probably am gonna have to put the Continental on my list, and maybe that'll give us some backstory.
Hmm.
But I just picture everybody as like a different mob. You know, this
Yeah. That's not a bad way of looking at it.
these people care. These people. And I'm gonna use. I just started Luke Cage season 2, and I use it that way. These people uptown, they got guns. These people downtown, they got these drugs, X drugs. These people across the street, they do protection, they do this. But again, at the end of the day, if we gotta kill a nigga gonna die.
Yeah.
So that's just how I picture all of them. And even with like the Rooster Roma, like you said, they call him the Kikamura. John Wick became the Baba Yaga because all the shit that he did, and then the impossible mission that
Hmm.
they made him do to get out. So
Hmm.
now this nigga's scared. So, like I said, I agree with you where like, yeah, they protected motherfuckers by killing niggas.
It's about to say
Yeah,
like they're protecting niggas by killing niggas. So
and
I was like,
I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something I was taught. You know, the best way to damn. You know the best in a firefight. You know the best preventative medicine.
the best preventative medicine in a firefight.
So if me and you in the shootout with some niggas and I
Yeah.
get shot, you know the best way to help me?
Keep shooting.
Overwhelming firepower. You gotta stop the niggas from shooting first.
Yeah.
What you gotta do? What you gotta do to protect your people?
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair point. What go ahead and give us your rating for the ballerina.
You know what? I'm actually going pretty fucking high. Like I said, um, yes, the acting wasn't as strong. Even with I bought the fuck up her name again, and
Anna de Armas.
Anna De Armas. Even with her, like I said, she has been in some movies where her acting is where I think it's good. I'm not gonna say
Better than in
great.
here for sure.
It's been definitely better than this. I think that her accent plays a part in that. Um, but even with the acting not being great, even with the story being just a story,
Yeah.
like I said, nothing spectacular. We knew what this movie was. I did not have high hopes for the movie.
Hmm.
And before I get my rating, I do want to tell you. I don't know if I sent this to you, but the director and I believe Keanu Reeves said we're trying to figure out what makes sense for John Wick and John Wick 5.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't make sense for him to be in there, there's probably not going to be a John Wick 5.
Yeah.
And the last thing we seen of John Wick was John Wick basically getting a clean slate. So even with I did not have high hopes of this movie. I thought it was going to be maybe maybe a 6. I didn't think the acting was going to be that strong. One of the things, or the action, and one of the things you said about the action was one of the things I remember when the first John Wick movie came out. Um, they compared John Wick 1 to Taken. And in
Mm.
Taken, you see when the action scenes are taking place, it's a lot of quick cuts. And there's quick cuts because there are stunt doubles and there's half complete stunts. But when you cut them a certain way, it makes it look complete, it makes it look fast. Do you know the director of this one? I
The
don't have
director
it
is
up.
Lynn Wiseman.
Does he direct the others? If you know, I'm gonna just
The
pull up
other
the shit.
John Wick no, he's directed I believe some of the Underworld films. I know off the top of my head he's directed Underworld. I don't know some of the other films he's directed.
So
Pulling it up now.
they pretty much all got different or directors. But one of the things that the producers, I'm guessing, and the creative directors of this John Wick franchise are doing, they're putting an emphasis on the action because it's an action
Yeah.
movie. So you see Keanu Reeves in a studio fighting, training, doing these fights. You see him at the gun range.
Yeah.
shooting. You seen Anna De Armas. You seen her at the gun range. You seen Holly Berry at the gun range. They're going through. They are using stunt doubles, but they're not using them to the extent that some other movies have, and they're putting the emphasis on the action. We
Yeah.
want you to see this because when you're watching a fight scene in this movie, you see the whole thing. It's not a lot of punch from you see them punching somebody from the front or the back, and you can't see who they see their face. You see them, so
Yeah.
they're doing these movements, they're practicing this, they're training in whatever martial arts they need to train in to do these stunts, and the action is just. I'll say that was there less. I'm gonna say there was less shooting uh, than the
Hand
John
to
Wick
hand
movies.
combat.
Yeah, there was way more hand to hand combat. So, like I
Yeah, I
said,
would. I would agree.
the acting wasn't that strong. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great. It was okay. I wouldn't even say it was good. It was okay.
Yeah.
Again, it's action. The story, the story was the story was. I'm gonna say the story was good for the simple fact that it's a fucking action movie. Like, what do we want this movie to this story to be like in an action movie? And there's a twist in here, which I'm gonna leave that part out. But when that twist happened in the village at the house,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
a twist happened and nothing happened with that. The shit was just
That
over.
shit, like it was a twist, like a major plot point twist, and then it was like,
Major.
boom, back to killing niggas. Like what?
Back to
We're just
killing
gonna pretend
niggas.
that didn't happen. All right,
So
like
like
the movie
that
just goes on.
that was kind of weak of that to happen. But
Yeah,
like I said, the action was fucking phenomenal. Like,
yeah.
I'm trying to think what action movies we've watched this year outside of fucking. The only thing I can remember is
Novocaine's the first thing that came to my mind.
Novocaine. I was thinking about the
Yeah,
movie with Rami, the amateur.
the amateur. Yeah, Remy Malik.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I'm putting the action was a 10 out of 10 in this fucking movie. Uh, I can't even think of you not giving it a 10.
The movie itself.
The action.
Oh, the action.
The action in the
Solid
movie
nine.
wasn't.
I'll give it a
No,
nine.
the action in the movie
Yeah.
for
Okay.
me was a
Okay.
10
Glad
out
we're
of
on the same
10.
page. Glad we're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I am still going high. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay. That is high.
I've already. I know. I feel like I always say I feel like I go higher to not give it to not sound like it seem like I'm hating, but I
It's not a
really
bad rating for
I
this.
really enjoyed this movie. I did
Yeah, it was a
not think
fun
I was
time.
going to enjoy it this much.
Yeah.
It it exceeded my expectations of it.
Yeah.
So I think, like I said, for an 8, I do have some critiques. Like I said, the acting wasn't strong, the story was just okay. They kind of dropped the ball on some of the plot points in the movie. We did see some people. Daryl Dixon is in here from fucking Walking Dead,
Yeah.
or one of the brothers from Boondock Saints, Mr. Norman Reedus.
Norma Reedus. Yeah.
Um, and the only other thing, my biggest critique of this movie was the trailer. We seen so much in the trailer. It was a lot more than the trailer, but there were some things that we did need to see in this
Yeah.
movie
You
in
were
the
able to kind of
trailer.
telegraph a few things
Um,
if you saw the trailer for
we
sure.
we know this is in the world of John Wick. We did not need to see John Wick in the trailer.
Yeah.
I think that really gave away a lot of the story. I think maybe I don't know. Maybe they thought we was gonna think John Wick was gonna kill her,
Yeah. No, I do
but
think
I
like
never thought that
I
was
agree
gonna
with you.
happen. It just seemed like it seemed like they did not think that the movie was going to perform well, and they said, "Hey, we need to get Keanu Reeves to
Get Keanu Reeves in the
do this
marketing.
part."
I mean, that to an extent, I think it's understandable to put if you know John Wick is in this movie. I don't have a problem with them putting him in the trailer. I have a problem with which scenes they decided of him to put in the trailer. Like the
Because you know
beginning
what's
scene of
happening.
him, fine. The third act scene did not need to be in the trailer, so I'm with you there. Like,
Especially, it's not
yeah,
in
it
the
just wasn't
scene we're
necessary.
talking about. It's not like this obscure place. Like, they're not in a continental at this point.
No, like it's very clear that this is like a
Where John Wick
special
is coming.
scene. So when you see that backdrop in the film, you're like, all right, I know John Wick is coming up at this point because this is a very distinct area, and I saw him here in the
and
trailer.
and the sequence of events that happen, you're like, The
Yeah.
only person that's coming is John Wick.
It's John Wick.
There's
It's
no
like
one
they
else,
telegraphed it very
and
heavily. Like,
that's
oh,
why.
I'm calling somebody in. I wonder who that is.
And one last thing I'm gonna say is, like I said, we know there's different families or guilds in this world. There's a lot of freelancers that we don't know about.
Yeah.
Introducing this cult in it was good. There's still a lot of singular people, but see, as I'm thinking about it now, I'm thinking the story may have been there. There were some plot holes,
Yeah.
or
No,
some
there
there were some
definitely were
parts
in
that
this.
it did not make sense when when she left the Continental, when
Yeah.
she was saving the little girl and she
Yeah.
was just knocked out. But then you send people to kill her right after. Why not kill her right then and there?
Yeah, there were some things that didn't totally add up, like in the grand scheme of things.
I'm gonna
But
keep it at eight
kind
though.
of, kind of like we said though, like it's a John Wick spinoff film, and it's a very very heavy action movie. So this is kind of one of those things that like it really just needed to deliver on the action piece and have all the other aspects of the film at least just not be terrible
Yeah, that's
for
it.
this to do what it needed to do, and this accomplished that. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7. I think it's an appropriate rating
I
for
thought you
this
were gonna
movie.
go lower than that.
No, because I think the thing that we wanted this film to exceed at or excel at, it excelled at. Like I thought the action set pieces in this were great. The choreography in this was great. They did some very creative things with this character as far as how resourceful she was and the tools she used to fight in just very creative ways. Like I said, to unalive people. So I think from that angle, if that's what we expected from this movie, that's what we wanted from this movie going in, and it delivered on that. I'm not gonna beat the film up on the other aspects that I think are weaker because that's not really what we came here for. You know what I'm saying? Like if this was if this movie was a period piece drama and the characters in the story were weak, I'd probably look at it different. This is a John Wick spinoff movie. I came here for good action and to throw popcorn in my face, and that's what they gave me. So I'm gonna go ahead and give it a 7. I would like to see more spin-off, like different variations of different characters from
Of
the
this
John Wick
world,
universe. I think if you're going to keep the John Wick world going, that's a perfect way to do it as opposed to just continuing John Wick
only
stories. I
John
think
Wick.
that's concluded at this point. But I think a 7 is a good sweet spot for me with this film. I do want to give like a few shout out like performances. Not that they were like great performances, but they embodied the essence of these characters in the previous films. Like as soon as Ian McShane stepped in as Winston, you felt like it felt like Winston, right? Even though he didn't really have to do much, like that in of itself. And then Angelica Houston as the director of the Ruska Roma. Like seeing these characters back in this universe, I'm glad that they did that, but they weren't like overbearing with it, right? It was like, yes, these characters are a part of this world, and for the story we're telling, it makes sense for them to be at this certain point in the story, but we're not just going to beat you over the head with it. Even
Yeah,
John Wick's only in 2 scenes.
yeah.
Like
While
he's
you're giving
not
your
that
shout
big of a part of
outs,
this movie.
what's the Angelic Houston?
Yeah,
I'm be honest with you. I probably liked her
she did a good job.
performance throughout the movie the best.
Yeah, yeah.
She again, she's a big part of the story, but she doesn't have a lot of scenes.
No, not
But I
really.
feel
Outside
like
of the training scenes, and then towards the end, she's not a huge part
but
of the
I do
film.
feel
No.
like the scenes that she was in, I felt like I don't want to say like her acting was the best thing in the movie because again, she doesn't act that much in the movie. But the scenes that she's in, I think she fucking delivers. I think she plays that role of the director pretty fucking well. And
Yeah.
she the hate that they gave her as far as the people that studied under her,
Hmm.
it seemed forced because of how she was. We didn't see her as that bad.
No, we didn't really see. She wasn't like a ruthless leader,
Yeah.
at least from the way she was portrayed.
But the
Like
way they
maybe it's some
talked about
some
her,
things that may have been happening off screen
yeah,
that the audience didn't see, but based on what was portrayed to the audience, she didn't seem like overly ruthless.
I was
In
expecting
with the context that we're in a world of people
yeah.
who like kill people,
I was
like she
expecting
wasn't
some
that ruthless.
Black Widow training where you putting a gun together and she's smacking your
Yeah.
fucking hands.
And I'm actually
But
glad you said that because this movie feels like what Black Widow should have been. This movie feels like a good Black Widow movie. This was a better Black Widow movie than the Black Widow movie.
So this is my only issue with that. I felt like, and I don't want to go too, because I'm good. I'm gonna say this. This is the first time so
Yeah.
far. I don't think I went on a rant during this one.
We haven't, not a complete
So,
off the wall tangent.
so everything's been like in scope of
Yeah.
the ballerina. But
Yeah.
I am gonna go off just a second, but not it's not gonna be a super long tangent. The Black Widow movie, I don't think was terrible.
I do.
It wasn't great. It wasn't good. It was okay. I think when it's stacked up against movies like Infinity Wars, Endgame,
Hmm.
Avengers. Yeah, yes, it's a lot of movies, superhero movies that compared to these movies are not good. But it's because we got these movies on a pedestal
We
and
have
we're
very high
ranking them against that.
expectations.
But
Yes.
the issue with Black Widow was she's dead. So giving us a movie about Black Widow kind of just seems like
Destroys the stakes because we
we
already know what the character's
we
fate
know what
is. Yeah.
happens, and
Yeah.
it wasn't a prequel. So it was a prequel,
It
but
was.
it
Yeah.
wasn't what people wanted to see. We wanted to
Yeah.
see what happened in Budapest. We wanted to see
Yeah.
that whole thing. We wanted to see her
Yeah.
relationship with Clint Barton. We wanted to
Yeah.
see the mission she completed beforehand. And now we know that that movie was really a backdoor to introduce Elena.
Yeah.
But
That's really what the Black Widow movie was. Now that we've seen the plans of those characters that were in that movie, now it's like, all right, this movie was an excuse to introduce Helena and Red Guardian. That's really what this movie
but
was. It
but
wasn't
what
really meant to be a proper Black
yeah.
Widow movie, which is
But
probably why it didn't succeed in that.
what we should have gotten from that Black Widow movie was a spy movie. We shouldn't have seen a fucking cyborg, which Taskmaster was. I don't give a fuck about Taskmaster being a woman. Be a woman. Be
I don't have
Antonia.
a problem. I have a problem with it not being Taskmaster.
Be
That wasn't
be be
Taskmaster. Like,
Antonia Masters, but don't
yeah,
be putting no fucking chip of watching Captain America and Spider Man fight to mimic them. Have those powers. Have that ability. She shouldn't be fighting in a fucking flying city or flying school, a super fortress. That shouldn't even
yeah,
they should it should have been a very grounded spy thriller. Now, if you want to
yeah,
still put her, they could have still did the thing where they put her family in it, and she had she left Clint Barton to go do this and do that. I would have been okay with it, but they were they're trying to live up to the hype of these other movies, and they're giving. No one wanted that story.
yeah. It was
Everybody wanted to see. They kept mentioning it. What happened in Nah, I forgot the fucking city. That's what Belarus, Bulgaria.
Budapest.
What the fuck happened in Budapest? And that's Hungary because I want to go to Hungary now. I've seen some stuff. I gotta go. But what the fuck happened in Hungary?
Hmm.
So what happened in Budapest? We still don't fucking know what happened in Budapest. So, but
Yeah,
that's my whole thing about this. And I said, I feel like if it would have been more grounded and we would have seen how Black Widow came up. So I definitely get what you're saying, where it feels like that, especially when you have because we've seen in different flashbacks. I don't know if some of you guys read the comics or watch some of the cartoon shows. That's one of the things that they do in the Red Room. Like they're ballerinas because
yes.
when you
That's why I
have
was like, this
those
feels like a proper Black Widow movie
when you
versus
have
the actual
those
Black Widow movie we got.
traveling ballerina companies,
Hmm.
you can get you're getting into other countries. They're setting up. They can do things that they can go places that they normally wouldn't, and it would make sense.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah,
gonna stick with my 8 though. I enjoyed the movie. I did not think I was gonna enjoy it this much.
yeah.
I'm
I agree. I like
excited.
this better than I thought I was going to,
I'm
for sure.
definitely excited to see, like you said, I want to see more of this world. I don't necessarily have to see another movie with her. It'd be cool if we get maybe one more movie, but I like to see them branch off, kind of focus on some of these other families. Let's see how they work together or
Hmm.
against each other, and
Yeah,
just to see even getting more knowledge about the high table and how they operate.
yeah. There's a lot of lore and world building they've done with the John Wick universe, which I like because it gives you the opportunity to expand with, you know, spin-off characters in so many different directions. So I hope they don't just stick with the ballerina. I hope we get to see other aspects. But let us know you all's thoughts on the ballerina. Are you like us? Did you enjoy it? Do you want to see more? Stories from the John Wick world, just told from a different angle with different characters than the ones we got in here. Always continue to like, comment, subscribe. We appreciate all the support. And until next time, this is the Real Junkies. Peace.